Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Healing Brain. This is the webinar here at Doman International, where parents with children with special needs join from around the world and they ask us their biggest and toughest questions, and we do our very, very best to answer them. My name is Spencer Doman. I'm the director of Doman International. Doman International is an organization that gives holistic solutions to families of children with special needs. And we do that to accomplish the impossible in the lives of those children, to help children who cannot talk learn to talk, children who can't walk learn to walk, children who can't succeed in school, not only succeed in school, but go on to live independent, happy lives. So wherever you are in the world, welcome. I'm joined today by my co-host, Colleen Hudson. Colleen is the Director of Representatives at Doman International. She's the first person to speak to new parents when they're interested in the Doman Method and want to join the Doman International program. So, if you are new to the Doman Method, I would recommend you speak to Colleen. She'll answer any questions you have about the Doman Method, point you to the best resources to learn more about the program. And so thanks so much for joining me, Colleen.
My pleasure. Always.
So today we've got a special presentation, and the presentation is called, "Is the Doman Method Right for My Family?" This is a presentation for parents who are new to the Doman Method, want to learn about what it is and whether it can help their child. And I will do my very best to answer some of the most common questions that we get about the Doman Method from new parents. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up a presentation that we will go through together. Just going to share my screen. All right. So the presentation is the Doman Method right for my family? And my name is Spencer Doman. So I'm really going to try to answer the 6 most common questions that we get from parents of children with special needs about the Doman Method. The first question is, which children and diagnoses can be helped by Doman International? What are the specific children that can be really helped and gain function from our program? Second, what kinds of activities and treatments are included in the Doman Method? What does the Doman Method look like on a daily basis? Third, what are the results from the treatment of Doman International? From a parent's perspective, what are the real life changes that my child can have from this treatment? Next, what makes Doman International unique? What makes the Doman Method different from all the other possible treatment centers out there that exist? Next, I'll get to the question that the presentation is titled after: is the Doman Method right for my family? And we've titled this presentation that because I think you'll see as we go through the presentation, we're confident that the Doman Method can help your child. If the child has a developmental delay, a special need, right? If the child lacks function in any area, the Doman Method can help with that. But this is a question that you need to ask and get answered for your entire family. Will it work for your family? And we will do our best to answer that today. And then last but not least, what is Doman International's recommended path for your family? So let's jump into the very first question. What children and diagnoses are helped by the Doman Method? This is the most common question that we get from parents. So when parents come to Doman International, they typically have children that might have hundreds of different diagnoses. And we couldn't possibly list all the diagnoses that we help with, but we've put here the most common ones, right? So diagnoses like autism, cerebral palsy, ADD and ADHD, learning difficulties and dyslexia, epilepsy. So these are children who have seizures, developmental delay, children diagnosed with traumatic brain injury, also adults, of course, diagnosed with traumatic brain injury, cortical blindness or cortical visual impairment. We have many children diagnosed with speech delay, and also children diagnosed with trisomy 21, better known as Down syndrome, and also hundreds of other genetic diagnoses. So we work with all of these children. And the reason why we can work with these kids is that all of them, even though their symptoms might vary greatly, right? Some of these children might have challenges with mobility, others with speech, others with social development, others might have sensory issues, and some children might have all of those problems. The reason why we can help all of these children is because the root cause of their issue is in the brain. And our team are experts in brain growth and development. And because our team are experts in how the brain develops, specifically in children with developmental delays, we can teach parents, teach families the very best activities and treatments that they can do to enhance and speed brain development. The human brain has an amazing ability due to a phenomenon called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is now very well known, which is the human brain's ability to change. And specifically, the human brain can change when it's given the right kinds of stimulation, the right kinds of challenge, right? And the right kinds of opportunity. And so that's what the Doman Method has been all about over the last 70 years. What are activities that drive neuroplasticity, right? That create this enhancement in brain development. And when we begin those with children and they start to experience neuroplasticity, the symptoms start to reduce and in some cases go away, right? So we're talking about real life-changing changes for the children because the brain is the command center of the body, right? The brain enables us to do everything that we do. It's allowing me to speak to you today and teach you something new. And it's allowing you to listen and watch. And that's the human brain, as I said, is the command center. So with neuroplasticity, as the brain develops faster, the symptoms start to go away. So for some children, they might go from not being able to speak to speaking, or a child who may be unable to walk can learn to walk, or children who have, chronically failed to learn to read or do math, or have failed out of school can start to learn to do those things because we are treating the root cause problem, right? You cannot treat the symptoms and make a root cause problem go away, right? You have to treat the root cause problem and then the symptoms start to go away. And that's what we have found over the last 7 decades, working with children with all of these different diagnoses. Now, our approaches with these children might differ, right? We use different treatments with these different children because often their brain development has been affected in different areas of the brain and with different levels of severity. But because we understand holistically how the brain develops, we can help all of these children and help them reach their biggest goals. So the next logical questions that parents will ask is they'll say, okay, I understand you help treat a child like my child. What kinds of treatments and activities are included in the Doman Method? And so over the last 70 years, we have found out through experience what are the treatments that get the best results. By the way, we've also learned over 70 years what things don't work, right? And unfortunately, out there in the world of children with special needs, there are so many things that don't work. And so over the last 70 years, we've learned what doesn't work, but we don't have to waste families' time with those things. We can focus on the things that for decades have shown real life-changing improvements for children. So we take a holistic approach to treating the brain. We have found that we get the best results in neuroplasticity when we attack the problem from different directions. And so there are actually 6 different components to the Doman Method. And I want to just take a minute to go through these 6 components with you. When the Doman Method was first started by my grandfather, Glenn Doman, in the 1950s, it didn't include all these 6 components. But over time, as we discovered new things that brought great results, we added new components. So let me start with the number one component at the very top there, nutrition and supplementation. So every child on the Doman Method sees one of our nutritionists and is prescribed a customized diet and supplement plan to help the brain change. So when children come to a Doman International Clinic, there are certain lab tests that we will do with the children. And I do want to say sometimes parents hear lab tests and they think invasive. Not necessarily. We have certain tests that we do with children that are non-invasive. So even for a child who might have had many blood tests in the past and who found them very upsetting, we have lots of non-invasive testing that can be done easily and at home that doesn't even require a doctor's visit. So we do these preliminary tests that allows our medical staff and our nutritionists to prescribe the very best nutritional plan for the children and supplementation plan, right? And there are many supplements that can help the physiology and brain function for children. And so very often when we begin children on this nutrition and supplementation plan, we will see things like improved energy, better mood, fewer illnesses, right? It's very common that children on our program become the healthiest members of their family because they've got such an amazing diet. They've got such great supplements that enhance their immunity. They will often go from the sickest children or sickest members of the family who are constantly in the hospital to the healthiest members of the family. I was speaking to a family recently who's on our program, and they said that their child, their daughter, who's 4 years old, before the program was on antibiotics at least once a month and was chronically hospitalized for, different kinds of infections. And they said to me, it's been a year now since we've started the program, no antibiotics, no hospitalizations. And as I said before, she's the healthiest member of our family. That is the goal of our program, because we found when a child is healthy, that means they can do the rest of the Doman Method activities because they're well, they have good energy. And when that happens, that's when we can really multiply the results that we're getting with the other areas of the program. So we often see not just better health and energy. Well, for children who might be hyperactive or have behavioral issues, we'll often see those issues reduce and sometimes even completely go away. So it can really help children in an incredibly holistic way. The second component is sensory development. So our sensory pathways are incredibly important for us to learn about the world around us, right? So we can see, we can hear, we can feel, we can taste, we can smell. Those are the 5 sensory pathways. And they are really highways carrying information into the brain. So what we do is we provide sensory stimulation to enhance those sensory abilities for children, and that improves their learning capacity, right? So I was speaking to a family this morning. When their child began our program, the child had cortical visual impairment. The child could not see, was functionally blind. And so we do specific visual stimulation activities, auditory stimulation, tactile stimulation activities. And now the parents said that their child is responsive, can see, across a room, 4 meters. The child is much more visually interactive. He now looks at pictures. He started to differentiate pictures. If you hold up 2 pictures and say, where's the elephant? He can do that now. That's all thanks to having sensory stimulation, right? And so that is a big part of our program. Now, over time, I do have to say, there are many other clinics around the world that learned from the Doman Method and they said, sensory stimulation is important, and they incorporated it. The issue is that they very often don't do the right kinds of stimulation, and they don't do it with the correct intensity or frequency, right? They'll say, okay, we're going to do this activity once a day with a child, when for real life changes to occur, maybe that child needs 3 sessions or 5 sessions or more sessions in a day. And of course, parents, when they learn that, when they say, oh, my child just needs this 3 times a day to get my child to see better, most parents will move mountains to help their children, but very often clinics don't realize the right activities to do it and the right intensity to do it at. Next, we have mobility development. So that is the third of the 6 components of the Doman method. Every child on our program is prescribed mobility exercises, and these aren't exercises for like fat loss, right? These are exercises to develop the brain. Mobility is an incredibly important part of driving brain growth and development. And so we have specific mobility activities for children who cannot walk yet that help put that child on a pathway to walking, right? If a child cannot walk when they start the Doman method, our first and foremost goal is, how do we get this child walking? And we have 70 years of experience in doing that. My grandfather, Glenn Doman, when he started this method, he was a physical therapist and he was passionate about it. And so we have different treatments we've been using for 70 years to help children learn to walk that are the most effective means of helping kids learn to walk in the world. But even for children who can walk and run, we have learned specific physical activities that help balance, coordination, but also can help reduce things like hyperactivity, right? Or for children who have learning difficulties, there are many physical activities that can help improve cognitive function, right? So we've had certain children where we give them a mobility program and their reading ability improves, or their math ability improves, or they start talking more because there are certain mobility exercises that can enhance those areas of the brain. The fourth component is cognition and speech. This is probably the area of the Doman method which is most famous. We are most famous for our early reading and math programs. With the Doman method, and if you go onto YouTube and you put in 3-year-old reading Doman method, you will see videos of young children well before their school age reading thanks to our program. And this reading program has been used by hundreds of thousands of parents around the world, both of children with developmental delays, but also parents of healthy children too, to give their children incredible cognitive abilities at a young age. So just to give one example, we work with many families with children with Down syndrome and other genetic conditions. And in the kind of wider world, these children are considered to have severe cognitive impairments. Many children with Down syndrome, for example, aren't even taught to read in school because schools kind of think, they'll never learn, so what's the point? We have 3-year-olds with Down syndrome who read. We have 4-year-olds with Down syndrome who write, even when their neurotypical peers cannot do so. So it's one of the most exciting and impressive parts of our program. And so not only do we focus on cognitive development, but also, of course, on speech development, getting children to speak in sentences fluently. Fifth is oxygenation. This is a unique part of the Doman method, which is we have specific respiratory programs that increase oxygen delivery to the brain. Oxygen is the food of the brain. And just to illustrate this, if a human cannot eat or drink, they will likely survive for maybe a couple of weeks. But without oxygen, we can't live more than 3 or 4 minutes, right? Oxygen is the most important element needed for brain function. And so what we have found is that with these specific respiratory programs, we can increase oxygen delivery to the brain. And when we do that, when we supply the brain with more oxygen, function improves, right? These neurons, which are the brain cells, function better because they're getting oxygen. Many children with developmental delays, with neurodevelopmental issues, they don't breathe normally. They sometimes breathe very shallowly, or they don't breathe with a regular pattern. And so they are in a constant state of mild hypoxia, where they're just not getting that brain enough oxygen, and so they're not able to function well enough. But when we do that, when we can increase oxygenation, all of a sudden we see better function. And so that sometimes results in better sensory abilities, better learning abilities, but very often in improved speech. Children who have feeding problems, often with our respiratory programs, start to eat better. And physical stamina, health, breathing impacts so much. And then last but not least, we have social development. Social development is the sixth and final component because really it requires development in all of the other areas to get to the point where the child really needs help with social development, right? If we can get a child learning like other children and moving like other children and talking like other children, which we can do with the other parts of the program, that child gets to the point where now they can walk and they can talk and they can learn, they're ready for school. But are they ready to join a classroom of their peers and make friendships and connect with others? And so we have specific social programs to help children do that, to help the children learn boundaries, but also to become more independent and more responsible and become confident, successful members of their classroom and their society. So it's all six of these components that really make the Doman Method what it is. The Doman International is the only organization that I know of where a team of staff provide a family with all of these things. You can go to certain clinics where they'll give you a nutrition plan. You might go to a therapy center where they have like a sensory stimulation plan. But I don't know of any organization that provides six of these items, or honestly, even maybe three of these six items as a part of the program, and certainly not with the intensity and with the accuracy that our team teaches it with. We have team members who are experts in all six of these areas, right? Because just to give you an idea, for us to train a staff member to be an expert in one of these areas takes about 2 to 4 years of just training a person to be an expert in one area. So we have experts in all six of these areas. And so every child on our program is helped by experts in these different areas who prescribe the best treatment plan for them. So the next question is, what are the results of the Doman International Treatment Program? And Colleen, I'm just going to stop here for a second just to make sure everything going well with the PowerPoint.
Yes, everything's looking good.
Perfect. All right, very good. All right. So what are the results of the treatment program? This is a very natural question for parents to ask, about the program, right? Because in the end, all that really matters, right, for children with special needs are results, right? It's not about dogma. It's not about what I think is best, right? This isn't an ego-serving exercise. It's about what delivers the best results for the children in the shortest period of time. And that's what the Doman Method is all about. As I said before, when you've been doing something for 70 years, you have many ideas, bright ideas, but then when you try to implement them, it may not actually drive results for children, right? And so our motto is, if something isn't bringing real life changing results for children, get rid of it and find something else that does. And so the Doman Method, sometimes parents will say, tell me every activity that's in the Doman Method, right? And as I said before, the last time we sat down and counted, there are 400 different treatments that we have incorporated in the Doman Method, right? Now, when a family comes to us, of course, we don't do 400 treatments with a specific child. We might do the 5 to 10 that child needs the most right now to get the changes to help the child move to the next level of independence. But there are 400 different treatments that our team knows about and utilizes with different children. So in the end, every time we discover something new, if it brings results, we incorporate it in the program. We are a kind of selfish team in that way. If something works, we use it. So here are some of the results of Doman International's treatment. And we'd like to show actual percentages. What percentage of children achieve a life-changing milestone while on the Doman International program? So these are the statistics for children who did the Doman International treatment for at least 6 months. And keep that in mind as we go through it. I won't go through every statistic listed here, but I will go through the ones that I think are kind of most relevant. So let's start at the top left-hand corner with seeing. So 89%, so basically 9 out of 10 children who were functionally blind when they started the Doman method began to see. Right. So I gave you an example earlier of a child who I was talking to the family this morning. When they started the program, the child was unable to see. And with the Doman Method visual integration program, that child now is able to see because of cortical visual impairment. Keep in mind, these aren't children that have problems in the eyeballs, right? These are children who have this specific child sustained a brain injury to the visual cortex. The visual cortex is the area of our brain responsible for seeing. And so what we did was visual integration with consistency. And with time, his brain changed and he started to learn to see because his brain is recovering. So 9 in 10 children who started functionally blind began to see with the program. There's just no other treatment program that I've seen that even comes remotely close to that. I do want to say at this point that I don't see other treatment centers ever disclose what percentage of children improve on their program. There are so many different treatment centers and therapists and intensives that exist. But if you say to them, hey, what percentage of children who can't walk learn to walk with your treatment? They will look at you like you have two heads if you ask that question. And they look at you that way, first of all, because they've never thought about it themselves. But the second and the sadder aspect is that deep down, they know that answer is probably close to zero. Or even the children who might have improved in those ways, that they're not really sure, was that because of their treatment or something else that the child was doing? So one of the reasons why we keep these percentages, it's not just to boast about the Doman method and say, oh, look at how great we are. It's a report card for our staff, right? Our staff look at these percentages and they say, hey, how do I get that 89%? How can we get that to 95%, right? How do we get the 1 in 10 children who didn't learn to see with our treatment? Even though out in the world, it's almost impossible. It's thought impossible to get a child who's cortically blind to see. In our eyes, we say, how can we keep improving that to get that to 100%? So it's a way of motivating ourselves to always continuously improve our own program. When we look at reading, right? If we look at children with dyslexia, genetic conditions, severe learning disorders, right? 97% of children who start our program within 6 months learn to read. 97% of children. And when I say learn to read, I don't mean they recognize letters. I mean, these are children who can read words, okay? Who can, you can present them with a text and they can read words, right? That's, and not just read them, but understand what it means. So our definition of reading is not just word recognition, but also understanding what the words mean. So we are very, very proud of that 97% number. And reading is actually one of the easiest results for us to achieve, just because of the efficacy of the reading program that we use. Now I'm going to skip all the way over to walking, because for parents who have children who cannot walk, this is usually of great interest. So 54% of children who started the Doman method unable to walk began to walk. So that is, something that over time we have continuously improved upon. And as I said, there are now treatments that we've been using for over 50 years that are highly effective in getting kids to walk on their own at home, And by the way, when we say 54% of children learn to walk, I don't mean they took their first steps. The percentage of children who took their first steps is much higher than 54%. I'm talking about these are 54% of children who learn to walk all over on their own. They're not walking with a walker. They're not walking with a cane or with someone supporting them. No, these are children who are walking indoors, outdoors, completely on their own, no one touching them. Okay, so our standards are extremely high for including children in these numbers. Again, if you went to your local physical therapist and said, hey, what percentage of children under your care have learned to walk because of your treatment, they might laugh at you. They've probably never even been asked that question before or thought about it. All right, let's go down to the bottom row, comprehension. 87% of children who couldn't follow sentences began to comprehend, right? So nearly 9 in 10 children who could not understand when they were being spoken to with the Doman method began to comprehend instructions and follow them. Now, if we move to speech, about 6 in 10 children who were unable to talk began to speak after starting the Doman method treatment. And by the way, to be included in this stat, these aren't just children who said their first words. They have to both speak words after they've started the program and also start to put words together in phrases. So that's 59%. And then maybe last but not least, 48% of children who started our program unable to write at all, not even letters, learned to write on our program. So these are children who learn to write words and phrases while on the program. So those are some of the results. We're very, very proud of them. We're continuously working to increase these numbers. And by the way, we share all of these statistics on our website. You're welcome to take a photo of this. We publicly post these results. And we always say, if anyone else wants to post their results next to ours, we'll do it. But we haven't gotten any volunteers for that just yet. So what makes Doman International unique? And I think this question is especially important in today's day and age where there are so many options out there and parents are kind of flooded constantly on social media with whatever the newest thing is, right? And one of the benefits of being around for so long, now 3 generations of not just my family, but staff learning from the previous generation, is that very often you stick around long enough to see things come back. Sometimes I'll go to my parents and I'll say, who've been doing this for 45 years, and I'll say, hey, I just saw this new treatment that's just popped up. And they said, that came out in the 80s and it didn't work. So, everyone stopped doing it, and so that's one of the great benefits. So we say, great, we don't have to waste time with that. We've already tried that out. It didn't work. Let's focus on the things that do work. So what makes Doman International unique? Well, first of all, for over 70 years, the Doman method has helped thousands of special needs children learn to walk, talk, and succeed in school and life, right? So those are real monumental, life-changing results for those children. And those are also children that we learned from, right? So not just helping children achieve things that parents were told was impossible, but also us getting to learn through experience of what drives those enormous life changes. The second thing that makes Doman International unique is no matter what anyone tells you, we know that your special needs child has a great potential and an innate intelligence. And our job is to help you discover that. So even if your child has severe speech delay, or cannot read, or cannot yet do math, or cannot walk, I assure you that your child has innate intelligence. I can say that with confidence because I've had the opportunity to work with thousands of children like your child. So our job is to bring that out of your child and show that to you so you can know how your child learns best. And as I said before, we're most proud of our cognitive results with children, even children who start our program unable to talk, unable to read, do math, who are considered to have severe cognitive impairment, low IQ, these children really take off with our program. And then third, our team will work hand in hand with you to provide life-changing solutions for your child. And what seems impossible to others is possible with us in our experience, and we'll support you every step of the way, right? So it's not just telling you about what works. Our team are coaches, and so we don't just teach you what works for your child. We support you along the way, right? So if you hit issues, you hit obstacles, we'll coach you along that, because we've worked with over 40,000 children. And that means we've also worked with 80,000 parents. And so we have learned how to help parents navigate different issues in the lives of children, and we'll support you in that process. So in answering the question, is the Doman Method right for your family? Hopefully you can see now why I say at the beginning, we are confident the Doman Method is right for your child. But every family does have to answer for themselves, is this right for my family? And so to answer this question, I would basically ask you 3 questions. And if the answer is yes to all 3 of them, then I would say the Doman Method, based on my experience, is right for your family. So the first question is, are you looking for a holistic, drug-free approach to address all of your child's developmental problems? So a drug-free approach to address all of the issues that your child is having right now, whether that's speech or mobility or learning issues or social issues or behavioral problems. Are you looking for that? The second thing is, are you open to giving time and effort to learn the Doman Method from our team of coaches, right? What our coaches are going to do is they're going to see your child and evaluate your child, and then tell you what are the best activities for you to do at home, for the family to do at home with that child to help speed up your child's development. But that does take some time and effort from your side to learn from our team. Are you open to doing that? And if the answer is yes, great. And then last but not least, are you willing and able to give at least 1 hour a day of your time? Or is someone in the family able to give 1 hour a day to do our recommended treatments for your child, right? We have found it's not just about the activities themselves, it's about the consistency. So can you and the rest of your family create a way for your child to receive the Doman Method treatment at home for at least 1 hour? And families organize this differently. Some parents divide the work amongst themselves. Sometimes they have an uncle or an aunt or a cousin who comes in to help, or an older brother and sister. Some parents have, au pairs or nannies who are wonderful helpers and help implement the program. Every family is unique, right? Our job is to tell you what your child needs to change. And then what you bring, of course, is not just your love and dedication to your child, but also looking at it with your family, with your helpers, and really realizing, okay, how can we implement the Doman Method activities at home consistently with our child? And as I said, our coaches will help you with that process. So if your answer to those questions are yes, then wonderful. Welcome to Doman International. Our team looks forward to working with you and getting to know your child and helping you, like we have the 40,000 families that have walked this path before you. Now, I do like to say, when is the Doman Method maybe not right for a family? When is a time where a family maybe should not consider doing our program? So the first thing is, if the family is looking for some kind of magic pill that's just going to fix and cure all problems overnight, the Doman Method is not a magic pill, right? It is something that helps address the root cause problem. It helps the symptoms go away, but it does take consistency. It does take effort. And so it's not a magic pill. And so we like to tell that to parents, to say, listen, we need you to begin this and bring the effort. Now, what we do say to parents is, look, if you start our program and you're able to consistently do it for a month, you will see changes in your child. For sure, you will start to see changes in your child. But that's not a magic pill. That's something that is scientific and consistent, and that is what brings about the results. Next, When the Doman method may not be right for a family, when parents aren't able to give the time or organize helpers to do the Doman method with the child. About once a year, I'll get a call from, a powerful CEO type or like a member of a royal family or something like that. And they'll say, listen, we've heard great things about the Doman method, but we don't want to do any of the program. Like, we just want to pay you, Spencer, or someone else, just come and do the program with our child. But we don't want to get involved with this stuff. And what we say is, well, first of all, parents are the most important people in the lives of a child. And so it's essential that they know, at the very least, what is being done with a child to help bring about the results. But more importantly than that, if parents understand it and are a part of it, it'll be done more consistently. It'll be done with more love. We'll get better results. We know that from experience. So when a family just says, we're not able or willing to give time for this, it's just not going to work. We're an organization that partners with families. We bring the experience and the knowledge. They bring the love and determination. That's how we get great results with children. And then last but not least, when parents just want to outsource all treatment to professionals. So, and it doesn't happen often, but sometimes parents will say, no, we're not interested in doing these things. We just want to find professionals to do everything. And we say, listen, we get that, but that's not us. We need families to be bought in and to be involved to get the very best results for our children. As I said to you before, we're all about results. And in our experience, the best results come when families are involved in doing the treatment with the child. And by the way, even if you found the best therapist in the world and that therapist said, well, I can give you 30 minutes once a week or 30 minutes twice a week for your child, I can just tell you based on experience, that's not going to bring results. Even if I, Spencer Doman, said, I'm going to do the best Doman method treatments once a week for 30 minutes with your child, that wouldn't bring results. So let's not do that, right? Let's set up a system that can be done consistently with the child that is going to get real life-changing results. So let's talk about what is Doman International's recommended path for your family. And so I'd like to just start by showing you a quick video. Doman International, you can obviously tell by the name, is an international organization. We work all around the world. We see families in 10 different locations around the world. And we also help families remotely. So even for families who cannot travel to one of our worldwide clinics, we can do online remote sessions where we evaluate the children and teach the families. So I want to show you a little video of what it's like to come to one of Doman International's clinics, have a child evaluated, and have a customized treatment program created by our team. So let's watch this video.
Having an initial visit with Doman International is an opportunity to learn from the world's leading experts in child development for children with special needs. When a family arrives on the first day, the child is evaluated by a Doman Method coach. This evaluation helps Doman International staff assess the child's current abilities and get to know the child. This evaluation, along with a medical examination and a
sorry?
The video just disappeared. You're not sharing your screen anymore.
Oh.
I can hear it, but it's not showing.
Okay. And do you see the PowerPoint or
no,
that's
it's disappeared. It's just you and me on the screen.
All right. Let's try this again. Do you see it now?
No.
No. Okay. Give me one moment.
There it goes.
And Colleen, did you see it moving?
Yes,
for a
yes,
bit?
it was
Okay.
moving.
Right,
It was,
let's try again.
Having an initial visit with Doman International is an opportunity to learn from the world's leading experts in child development for children with special needs. When a family arrives on the first day, the child is evaluated by a Doman Method coach. This evaluation helps Doman International staff assess the child's current abilities and get to know the child. This evaluation, along with a medical examination and a developmental and program review, allows the staff to best help parents and child. The team at Doman International then meets to discuss the child's case and to design the very best program for the child. This meeting includes Doman International's directors and members of the cognitive, physical, nutrition, and respiratory development teams. Now that the child's Doman Method program is designed, The family meets with one member of each department to learn the best program for the child. This includes a cognitive program focused on improving comprehension, speech, and sensory abilities, a physical program to improve mobility and manual ability, a respiratory program to improve respiration and brain function, as well as a nutrition program to design the very best nutritional plan for that child. Each family is given the time they need to learn their new program in full, meeting the experts in each field. The visit ends with a meeting with a Doman International director, who answers any final questions the family has. The family now has a fully designed treatment program for the next 6 months. Best of all, the family is given a Doman International staff coach who is there to answer any questions they have when they are at home. This guidance, coaching, and support can make all the difference. Contact Doman International to inquire about our evaluations worldwide.
So this year, we have seen families at our clinics in Philadelphia. This is our headquarters. In Italy, which is our European headquarters. So families come from around Europe and the Middle East to come to our European center in Italy. We see families in Serbia and Croatia at select times throughout the year, in Bangalore and New Delhi, India, in Moscow, Russia, in New Zealand, and in Melbourne, Australia, and in Florida. Hopefully I've hit on all the major sites. So yeah, okay, good. So yeah, those are the 10 different locations where we see families in person. But as I said, if a family is unable to travel for whatever reason, we also offer online remote appointments. And those were things that we started to do during COVID and became experts in doing remote sessions via video conferencing. So our staff is able to, if a family cannot travel, is able to remotely assess a child and also customize a program for the family. So you can see there the contact information for Colleen, which is info@domaninternational.org. Colleen, anything else that you would like to add about, coming to Doman International for an appointment or parents contacting you?
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you, Spencer, because you mentioned that, of course, the Doman Method is a holistic drug-free approach. What if a family, if their child has already been put on medications, what can they come work with us? Is that something that's possible?
Yeah, first of all, it's very common. About 40% of families that join our program have children, for example, who have seizures, and the majority of those children already are on medication when they come to us. So first of all, we don't decline children for any reason from our program. So any child who has a neurodevelopmental condition, we accept. We would never say, oh, your child has this specific medication, they can't do our program. And we also don't stop medication when we are seeing a child for the first time, because that's irresponsible. Our medical staff would never agree to that. So what we do is we start the child on the Doman Method program, and we start to see the results from the program. And then as the child progresses, when our medical staff says it's the right time, and if the family feels they're ready for it, we will start to wean the child off of medication. But that's always done with medical supervision. When the child is ready, when they've made enough progress to really no longer need the medication. So it's a process. But it's a very exciting process, because for most of our families, they know that medications come with very powerful side effects. Medications very often reduce cognitive function. They can affect mood and energy. They can affect digestion. They can affect balance. There's a reason why they come. The medications come with a list of 100 side effects. But again, it would be completely irresponsible. And I always have to say, parents, when I do this presentation, do not remove your child from medication on your own. It's not safe. And it's not something that we would ever do unless with medical supervision and under the right circumstances.
Okay, Excellent. Thank you very much. So yes, with regard to scheduling an evaluation or learning more about the Doman Method, because we have lots of resources for parent education, these are my direct contact methods. So info@domaninternational.org is my personal email. Please email me there. And then this is my personal Doman International number. It's country code 1-814-232-8668. I have WhatsApp on that, Telegram on that. I think I have Signal as well. You can call and I will get back to you quickly. So, we have a lot of information to share. Obviously, if you've watched this presentation and you're like, we've got to get there immediately for an evaluation, get in touch as soon as possible, because we do generally tend to schedule 6 to 8 weeks out. Sometimes there's a little bit sooner, maybe a month, but there's a lot to do in between. So we do like to have a good runway for parents also to prepare, so that when you come for your evaluation, you really are ready and have everything lined up so that we can get the best possible result when you're with us, or if you're doing a remote appointment. Still, there's a lot of preparation that we want to help you with. So yeah, get in touch as soon as possible. Or again, if you just have more questions, or if your spouse has more questions, we would recommend showing them this video. Don't try to explain what you just watched, because it's not going to make any sense. Just give them a video and say, watch this, or rather sit down with them. Hey, honey, I want to watch this. And then get them in touch with me, please, to get questions answered. If English is not your native language, we also have representatives who speak Spanish, Italian, Serbian, Russian, even Hindi, although we do not have our materials available in Hindi. We're very eager to talk to families from around the world. We work around the world, so don't hesitate, please.
Well, let's with the few minutes we have left, let's jump into some of the comments and questions that have been posted by parents. Oh, yeah. So on Instagram, we have a comment from Vito Encio, who says, "That is correct. I've traveled all over the world and undergone various therapies, but none has had as many results as I have now had at Doman with my son Valencio."
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. That's wonderful, Lydia. It's so good to hear from you.
Absolutely. We have a comment here from AM Adana, who says, "Are there any independent reviews of this program?" Yes. So there is research that has been done independently about comparing the Doman method to other approaches. So now you could, if you'd like, you could reach out to Colleen. And Colleen, if you get a question from this parent, I'm happy to send you some of that research that you could forward on. There's also research, of course, that our own staff has conducted and published, but there's also independent publications. Just last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, a university in Indonesia posted a review of results of children with autism on the Doman Method reading program compared to children who weren't. And it showed not only improvements, for example, in reading ability, but also in speech development. So yes, there is independent research about our program. So I'd be happy to forward that on to you if you reach out. All right, next. So Colleen, this might be a message from you. This is a question from Aratira Mendu, who says, "Hi, I have sent an email about my baby Raghunath. Please do get back to me." So does that ring a bell, Colleen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, anyway, so
and I actually did respond Friday, July 17th.
Okay.
But I can also send that to you again if you haven't seen it, and I will do that now. I'll forward it, but I did respond July 17th.
Maybe you went to spam. Okay. But Aratira is saying, where can we rewatch this live video? So if you're watching on Instagram, so we can post this live video on Instagram. So if you want to watch it or reshare it with others, you can. And also there's a comment here, you can watch them on YouTube and Spotify as well. We do post old episodes on YouTube and Spotify. All right. We have a comment here from Anne. Anne says, "You are so right. None of these other programs keep statistics, and they charge a lot more." Thank you, Anne. We've got a comment here from Jane. "My child began the reading program and he struggled in reading. Now he reads above grade level per standardized testing assessments." And I do want to say to the mom who asked before about independent reviews, I would definitely recommend, in the world of children with special needs, looking at research. But for me personally, some of the most valuable things I've learned in this field were talking to parents. And so one of the many things we do when parents reach out to us, especially if the parent is new to the Doman method, has never spoken to another parent who does it, Colleen will connect you with another parent who's done our program. Yeah. So you can talk to them and get I consider that an independent assessment. Every parent comes to the program the same, and they just want to help their child, and you can hear from them about what their thoughts are.
And the families who volunteer to speak with prospective families, parents who are doing their due diligence, they are volunteers 100%. None of our families are paid in any way, and they also, they're given the opportunity to be on that list. But some parents say, no, I'd really rather, just keep our family to ourselves, and that's fine. So the parents who say, yeah, definitely, please let me talk to other parents, they really have a passion to help other moms and dads who are where they were when they were looking for answers for their kid and feeling lost and overwhelmed. So they want to share with you, like, this is what it's been like, for our family.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a comment here from, I hope I'm saying your name correctly, Undre, who says, "Good morning. I'm going to start my daughter back, back on the program." Wonderful. Well, listen, Undre, if you are reconnecting with Doman International after some time, there are two options. Option number one is to reconnect with Colleen. Probably that's the best place to start, by contacting her. Or if you have a staff coach at Doman International, you could also contact them. But regardless, sometimes we change emails, we change phone numbers. So maybe your staff coach might have a different contact info now. So I'd recommend just reaching out to Colleen at her email address or her phone number, and just Colleen can jump on a call with you and reconnect.
Terrific.
All right. Okay. The mom says, "This is Andrea. My daughter is Journey." Yes, I remember you very well.
Oh,
Andrea.
of course. Yeah, we know Journey. Yeah. That'd be great.
Yeah, sometimes the Instagram handles are not the same as people's names. So
right.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Well, we've got a beautiful comment maybe that we can end off with here from Annabella, who writes, "The Doman program restored our belief that we as parents are the ones best able to help understand and guide our children. It gave us back the ability to steer our daughter's education toward her full potential and restored our faith that we could help her eternal things." Thank you, Annabella. And I had Annabella on maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago and interviewed her as a mom on our program. So if you want to, you can go back in our YouTube history or Facebook, find that video if you want to watch an interview with Annabella. Thank you so much.
Or if you can't find it, email me or message me and I'll send you the link, okay?
Yeah.
But it is on YouTube. I know it's there.
Yeah, and I do want to say that Colleen won't just answer your questions. She'll point you to resources, right? So she'll point you to interviews or other webinars that we've done that would be helpful for you and for your child.
And our books, of course.
Our books, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the last time I checked, we've written 11 different books about the Doman Method. If you go to Amazon and you put in Doman Method, you'll see our books appear. But I would also say that Colleen could probably direct you to what would be the best first book for you to start with your child based on the specific challenges that you're having. All right. So yeah, for everyone who's watched, thank you so much. You've been a great audience. It's been great seeing your comments and your questions. Feel free to reach out to schedule a call with Colleen. And and we do this webinar. If this is your first time here, we do this webinar every week at the same time. And I'm supposed to always say, and I forget, what the next session is going to be about, and I'm going to be interviewing another mom next week who has written a book about her daughter's experience. So give me 1 second. I just want to give everyone the right name for the episode. So yeah, next week I'm going to have Cleisha talk about her new book that she's written called Great Victory, where she talks about her experience with the Doman Method, but also just her story as a mom of a child with special needs, what she's experienced, and how she's gotten to the place where she is today. So I'm very excited to interview both a mom and an author. So please join us next week. All right, everyone, thanks so much for joining. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.